Hi, I'm Whitney Stevens.
And I'm Yo-Yo Blackfire.
And this is Unstable.
Hi, everyone. Today we are off the cuff one more time. We made it very clear that we have a lot of planned episodes for this season.
Mm-hmm.
But last week, I was in my feelings. We were in our feelings maybe a little bit, mostly me.
Yeah,
And
both, for sure.
And I am proud of what I remember us producing. Obviously,
what you remember?
Well, I mean, we all know I'm very stream of conscious.
Yes.
And this podcast is and was created, we've said it millions of times before, that it is intimate conversations between two friends that we're opening up publicly. And so last week we were raw, we were vulnerable, and I keep saying last week, but for us it was a few days ago.
It was only a couple days ago, but yeah. But you know how
and
this works.
we have an episode that we were going to film today, and that'll come to you guys next week. But I wanted to kind of continue that conversation a little bit and kind of introduce a follow-up topic, because being in my feelings was important. Mm-hmm. And I'm grateful that I was able to express all of that, and we were able to talk. I think that we both opened up about things that we didn't necessarily talk about before. Mm-hmm. And obviously I put myself at least in a situation where I opened up about a situation I'm in right now with someone. And so I wanted to start off by saying I did talk to the boy.
Okay.
And we are we're fine, we're good, Hakuna Matata. And I don't know what happened, but like something cosmically and energetically shifted for me. Mm-hmm. And I like just totally snapped out of everything I was feeling so intensely.
Yeah, like you told me at work last night, you just like came up to me and you're like, well, like first you were like, there's this horoscope thing I read that really read me, and I was like, yeah, it really did. And then like 5 minutes later you're like, well, I'm better now. And I was like, you.
And I feel it. And I think that although everything was valid and accurate to a situation I was in, I think that it was kind of just a catalyst or a trigger for some deeper healing and processing that I was doing that I didn't even maybe realize or know that I was about to hit. And that is what brings me to today's topic. So today's episode is going to be called 10-Year Challenge.
Oh, jeez.
Which is fun and funny, obviously, because of everyone's Facebook posts. Okay. But I've said this before, and it's actually a scientific fact, that the body takes approximately 10 years to process trauma and to heal. And then you typically find yourself re-feeling it in a new way, and you either have the opportunity to heal and let it go, or it stores again. And I realized that I'm 25 years old. I'm getting ready to turn 26 in a couple months. And 10 years ago, I was messing up my relationship. I was in a complicated home situation. And that was when I very seriously hurt the people around me and turned on myself and tried to take my life.
Okay.
And I think that being in a situation where I felt like I was capable or connected to or interested in bonding with someone so intensely or just like at all triggered or was maybe even inspired by my body and my energy being ready to release all of that stored pain. So I wanted to take today to maybe tie a few loose ends of the conversation we had last time and talk about this idea of, the body releasing trauma, as well as the way that we process and heal from different kinds of things. And I literally texted you this morning and I said, hey,
full disclosure, I'm going to this 100%
blind. I didn't even tell her the name of the episode because I wanted her to have a genuine reaction.
Here we go.
Do you like the name of the episode?
I like it, yeah.
Okay, before we get too deep in the topic, I want to shout out how we look, because part of the new season is we are doing this fun, almost Boulé-inspired moment where we coordinate.
But like in our own
unique styles. As you've seen in the past few episodes. And so we kind of threw this together. I think we look really hot.
I think this is
I also love our hair. For those of you who underestimate us, bitch, look how gorgeous we are. Look at our nice hair. And that's mostly, I just wanted to give us a...
I like how we start bragging and then my eyelash sticks to my bottom. I'm like, so I'm stuck like wonky.
That's fucking hilarious.
Well, I mean, we did film like 3 episodes with horrible wonky eyelashes in season 1.
Oh my god.
So we're trying to step it up this
It's a swift plummet upward, but sometimes it's not as swift as you would like it to be. Jeez. Which actually brings me back to the whole idea of philosophy and healing. I have a meditation that says, let go of the notion of time, accept that we are organic matter and we grow at a natural rate. So even the idea of like a swift plummet upward, it has to be like true to ourselves and our bodies, our organisms, our energies.
Oh yeah.
And it's not something that we get to dictate. Right? I mean, time...
I totally put my, like, I think everyone has, like, initially when you're, like, young, you're, like, you have this, like, little time schedule of where you're supposed to be in certain parts of your life. Like, I'm going to be married by this, and I want to have, like, this going on in my life by this time, and then you start realizing that those time constructs are just completely ridiculous.
Yes, I'm a firm believer. Time is a construct of the domestication of man. And I actually do think we've talked about this on the pod. Humans are nomadic creatures, and it's in our nature to... There's a fucking fly on my toilet, and it's going to irritate me all episode. All fucking really episode.
Well, but you know, flies follow shit.
Flies follow shit, but also, there's this, like, weird thing when I was growing up Jewish, where it was, like, flies come around when they're waiting for you to make a bracha, a blessing, or, like, to help you maybe release something. So maybe this fly is going to disappear at the end of this episode.
I think it's just because I stink, but...
I think it's because it got in through the open door that we had because we're fucking hot. Also, that fan is supposed to be on, and for some reason we Freaky Friday, and I'm the one that overheats this season. Whatever, we won't get into it.
It's fine.
But, time is a construct of the domestication of man, right? We are nomadic wandering creatures, and after being on this rock for so long, we started to create labels. Right, we started to create societies and we started to create labels. Man and woman, identifying time, creating calendars, right? Different people from different parts of the world use different calendars. Jewish people go by a lunar calendar.
But also due to lifespan as well. Like,
I mean, 100%.
At one point, it's like, get married by 13 because you're going to die.
Totally. But, I mean, like,
so,
like you said.
It's unreasonable to be like, we're going to have to live 100 years, but you should still get married at 22. That's ridiculous.
100% true. And that, you know, and that does bring me to society. I believe that society raises us with certain beliefs and expectations of a structure of sorts, but then when we're thrown into our adult lives on our own, that doesn't really exist. It doesn't exist. And maybe it works for some people who really commit to it, so I don't want to discredit that, but I believe that that by the time we are adults, and like, so let's for the sake of it use the numbers 18 through 20, right? Let's call it college years, or when we're really sent off on our own, typically, or societally structured wise.
Should be,
we have all these preconceived notions, and we're taught certain things that may or may not really help us in the real world, and we have so many experiences and typically trauma that we're healing from and have to work through to truly discover ourselves. So there's this idea, or there's this, like, thing that people say where, like, a gay man dies at 40, right? Or at 30, I'm sorry, at 30, right? Gay man dies at 30.
I've been dead for 7 years.
Yes, but RuPaul says...
7 years post-mortem, as Tayshia would say.
But RuPaul often says that a man's life or a person's life starts at 40. And that brings me to my kind of belief, like, sometimes I feel like I'm 15 or 16. Because of the way that we experience things, like this idea that, like, because of the way we are, like, healing from our childhood and actually discovering ourselves when we are a little bit older, it kind of feels like our 20s are our teens, our 30s are our 20s, our 40s are our...
I 100% feel like I'm, like, in mid-20s.
Right, and because, like, so you agree? So
I
you agree with that?
I feel that.
And so in that respect, we actually have a friend who I think he might have been in Washington for his 30th birthday. We had a funeral for his 30th birthday, and we all did eulogies.
Oh, okay, we don't do names.
No, we can do names. It was JD.
Okay.
We're not like giving out personal details, so I don't think that's a big deal to say their name. But
it was a funeral.
For his 30th birthday, we threw a funeral where we, like, Everyone wore black.
Eulogies?
We all did eulogy. It was like a eulogy roast situation.
Oh,
and like the house had like 100 or 200 like tea light candles. And literally we set up like rows of chairs and there was a podium and like he was sitting in like a chair that was his honorary casket. We signed like a memoriam book for him for his birthday card.
I don't know how I feel about this.
I thought it was really fun.
I mean, that's fun.
But in response, my thing is for a 40th birthday then, because you're reborn for your life as maybe a real adult, we're doing a baby shower.
Okay.
A baby shower.
Well,
so for your 40th birthday in a couple years, we're going to do a baby shower.
Okay, let's not rush it.
Actually, can I leak a little bit of information?
Yeah, let's do it.
As you guys know, Whitney's birthday is June 22nd. We started off our podcast on her birthday.
We did.
And this year, for her birthday, it is in the middle of the week, so the Sunday following at Cobalt Bar, we will be having, to celebrate not just your regular birthday, but your 10-year drag anniversary, a roast of Whitney Stevens. And you will all be invited. Tickets will be going on sale in about a month, so stay tuned. But, I mean, what a fun opportunity since we're kind of talking about it.
I'm pretty much unoffendable, so...
I think that it's really good. I think that in our town, in Phoenix here, people have tried to do roast, and it just kind of goes over like a fart in a bathtub.
Right.
To put it
or
in...
fart in a spacesuit.
Yeah, but let's use our own terminology.
Okay,
right?
I really like fart in a spacesuit, though.
I know
it's
you do, but do you not remember my birthday?
Well, I definitely remember you talking about fart in a bathtub for 20
Should we
minutes
tell
in
them?
one episode.
Should we tell... Oh, but did we tell the story?
I don't know.
Let's tell the story again.
Oh
Can I tell the story?
Oh, yeah, okay.
And from this point on, we're going to commit. Can we commit to saying fart in a bathtub if I tell the story?
Sure.
Okay, so this is the story. For my birthday last year, I told you this episode's off the cuff, but it's about healing and just kind of being...
We will get back on topic, I promise.
I mean, I think that talking about all these things is kind of... Whatever.
Yeah.
Stream of conscious, right? My fever dream, as we said at the Mixed Tito's pageant.
Right.
But for my 25th birthday, we went out to dinner at a local place. I do think we told this story. And they served us macaroni and cheese, and all the food was absolutely horrible. There was flies everywhere, as there are right now. There's fucking flies flying around. So for my 25th birthday, we went out for dinner, or lunch, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. The food was absolutely horrendous, and I'm the kind of person, I mean, I'm not a Karen.
No.
I'm not a Karen, but it was absolutely horrible. You were willing to put up with it, I was not, and you were friends with the person from the restaurant. I asked to speak to the manager, and when he came over, I was like, this is horrible, blah, 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 I'm not going to pay for this. It's my birthday. I'm not going to pay for this.
Right.
And I literally told him, I was like, this macaroni and cheese tasted like someone farted in a bathtub and tried to serve it to me. And in response, you started cackling.
I couldn't stop laughing.
And I said, I don't find this funny. I'm honestly trying not to throw up in your establishment.
Oh my god. It was so dramatic.
So, fart in a bathtub is our coin term, okay?
It was funny as hell.
Okay, so...
And then they tried to return a bill that was still, like, partial.
And I was like, no. And then the girl that you're friends with that worked there was like, I'll just pay for it. And I was like, you should not have to pay for this. This is absolutely unacceptable. But, so, roasts typically go over here in this town. So, me being sober keeps me, I'm able to keep my train of thought going. I'm connecting it back.
Okay.
So, roasts in this town here in Phoenix typically go over like a fart in a bathtub. But, Whitney is someone who's always in on the joke and she's not easily offended. Nothing is off limits, and we have a legendary panel being put together. I mean, like, people coming together from, like, all different sections of the community to roast this pig.
Yeah.
So join us Sunday, June 26th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Cobalt, and stay tuned for a link to purchase your tickets for your tables.
Oh, Lord. It's also, you can pay to roast.
Yes, there's a special element where for a certain amount, there will be a maximum, you can have a certain amount of seconds to roast for yourself.
Yeah.
So,
give me your best shot.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried it before, but let's do it.
Yeah.
But, so, healing from trauma, I know. I don't know
I can't let this go. Remember first season when we just dealt with it?
I know. You know what? It's fucking fine.
There we go.
It's fine. The hair is still nicer than the first season. It's fine if it doesn't look perfect. There's a fucking fly landing on me. Whatever. But I'm still excited to do this episode. So, let's talk about my version of the 10-year challenge, which is healing from trauma and processing things. Okay. I don't think it's something that, like I said, that we have control over. And in my situation, I think it had a lot to do with, like I said, the situation I found myself in, bringing up the opportunity for those emotions. But at the same time, I feel like something, like, literally just cosmically shifted. And I just, like, felt it, like, release and let go. And I accepted that. So I want to know from you, do you feel like maybe now that I've maybe put it in this kind of phrasing or whatever, that you've experienced something of those sorts? Or how would you say that you process and heal from some of your trauma?
I think I'm still in the process. I think I'm still too close to it. It's definitely getting better. But yeah, like I'm not anywhere near 10 years out. I mean, there's some maybe, I don't know, maybe I just don't process it the same way, or maybe I'm very good at like shoving it down and trying to forget it.
I guess that's true. I'm also someone who had a lot of my trauma as like a young child.
Right.
Whereas like you experienced things more of as an adult that were kind of traumatic.
Yeah.
So like maybe we're approaching a time frame where you'll start to feel that.
I mean, I've told you like I've never been happier than I am right now. I feel like I'm more productive than I have been in a super long ass time because I like.
It's honestly kind of embarrassing how I guess happy really is the right word. Like content and happy and I mean proud. I feel, and I know we've talked about us feeling about how hard we're working, the things we're accomplishing, the situations we find ourselves. I mean, something as stupid as like when we put our mugs on, how we feel about that, the looks we're able to put on, you know.
Doing things for ourselves. I mean, I feel like for a long time, like my happiness and how I felt was based on doing things for other people. And then when it wasn't returned in the same manner, or I didn't feel like it was appreciated, then I felt like complete shit and like I wasn't doing anything right. And now it's like I'm doing things for myself, so if I appreciate it, it's already reciprocated. Like I don't have to wait for it to be reciprocated because it's all just me doing things for me.
So when we talked about intimacy in our first episode, you mentioned that you have had the impact of me opening up emotionally and intimately more from you being in my life, and I would like to think that I have had some sort of impact in you. Putting yourself first a little bit and being able to find the joy and pride and like all that stuff in like me doing this for me will then radiate into everything I do. And I think that we see that in what we do. Even something like we've talked about on this podcast, right? Our friends get drunk and admit that they listen to the podcast and they love it.
Right.
You know? But at the end of the day, we don't give a shit. No. Like we're doing this for us and we're putting it out in the world because it's important. And like
if 3 people end up liking it, or like
even when it's just your mom and my dad, like we're perfectly content because like I know like when we listen to it, I feel so different. Yeah. Even after doing it, I feel so different.
I think it's important to say like sometimes we do these episodes and then afterwards we have severe anxiety about.
So that's why we're here doing kind of a part 2.
Yeah, we're like, oh my god, like I said all this and now there's no going back.
I mean, I definitely, and I know that you talked about you are going to, or you already have, by the time this comes out, warned your ex-husband about the conversations. Not because we say anything incriminating or disrespectful, but when you're talking about something that involves other people, you show the respect and the courtesy. I did let the boy that I'm talking to and interested in know, hey, I don't know if you listen to the pod, and it's okay if you don't, but I just want you to know, like, I was in my feelings. Right. We had a very intimate conversation, and I do refer to you. Obviously not by name, out of respect.
Right.
And as you guys can tell, sometimes there are names that it's not a big deal to bring up. But, yeah, and I think that...
Yeah, I did. I mean, I had that conversation. I was like, hey, just so you know, like, you come up, and that's because you're a huge part of my life, and there's nothing bad said. Like, it's just how it was.
It's just matter of fact.
And, but it's fair that you know without somebody else telling you before me. Like, I should be the one to tell you that you're...
Yeah, and I think that we generally operate that way. I mean, even when you picked up a job at a different bar, I didn't do this, but I also kind of did. I didn't do it quite as explicitly as you did, but like you were like, hey, boss, just so you know, I'm working also at this other bar, and I don't want you to hear from someone else or see on the internet. I want you to know because I respect you, I appreciate you, and you know, there's no dirty deed being done.
Right.
And this podcast
is what I gotta do for me.
Yeah, what I've got to do for me, and that's why I appreciate you letting me kind of do our very. Honestly, last time was the very first time that we went off the cuff, and this time is definitely the first time. And I'm not going to say it's the only time we'll ever do this, but we've never even. I mean, there have been topics that we've like. One day this could be fun. Certainly in season 1, this could be fun to revisit one day.
Right.
But we've never had a situation where we were like, oh, we should do another part to this.
No.
But I felt, for me, I wanted the opportunity to sit here and tie up the ends of that conversation because they were so emotional, and I don't want to invalidate or take away my emotions or anything that I said because I'm proud of that vulnerability I shared.
Right.
But I wanted the opportunity to say, even just a few days later, or for you guys a week later, I feel so healed, and partially because of that experience, and partially because of continuing to heal. And I do, again, I feel like there's something in me. I feel so... Last episode, I literally said I'm finally at a point in my life where the person that I've always known I am and the person that I am in real life are really, like, hybriding and, like, finally coming together. And I feel like something happened in me that I took another step forward to my final form.
I 100% feel that because, like, I feel like for... I was definitely, for a period of time, like, here's my public persona, here's how I really am, and I was trying to, like, navigate the space in the middle to try to make those two work. And now I'm like, especially with this, it's like, if you want to know everything about me, you can just listen to this, and, like, now you know, and I don't have to, like, try to navigate the middle space.
And some things age well, and some things don't.
Right. Which goes back to, we could, like, in the future, like, future seasons, we could come back to season 1 topics and see how much they've changed. Like, that could
absolutely.
I mean,
we started off with intimacy because at the end of the day, that is the overall underlying theme of everything we talk about. Being more open, honest, intimate, getting to know ourselves, getting to know each other, and being able to hold ourselves accountable and have these conversations with other people, right? We did First Times as the first episode of the season, and when we watched it with our friend and your roommate and you know, a colleague of ours, even, Bree, she was listening to us talk about first times. She was like, oh, what was our first time? And what was my this? And what was my that?
And that was fun about that episode because you get to, like, chime in. Right?
Yeah, but I would... Sorry, I tried to get the fucking fly, okay?
I did not get it.
I didn't get it, for those of you who are not watching, but I fucking tried, okay?
Oh my god.
Okay?
Oh, Lord.
But... I would like to think that even when we're talking about intimate things like this, or even when we talk about something like religion or work or something, that, you know, people do feel like, you know, how do I apply to this? Or how does this apply to me? Right. Especially because a lot of people know us, and we are, you know, we're by no means arrogant people. I do not believe that we are. But I do have a sense of we are public figures. And even just putting this out in public makes us in a position where people are connected to us. I mean, literally, our editor, you barely have... I don't even know if you've met him in person.
We've never
But
met.
on the phone, when we finally had a meeting with him about this season, before we really got going, he was like, Whitney, I feel like I know you so well, but I've never met.
I feel like we have a really close relationship, but we've never met. And I was like, well, you pretty much know everything about me that anyone else knows, and you just haven't personally met me. So.
You just haven't had the misfortune of getting drunk with me.
Right. Misfortune? I really do.
No, it's a lot of fun.
I'm a good time gal. You've never experienced it. But yeah, like, even in the 7 months, like, we have changed and also dealt with some of our trauma in the last 7 months that in our first episodes that our opinions have changed. Our outlook has changed.
My whole who I am as an intimate being has completely evolved.
Oh yeah, you're a raging lesbian now.
I've always been Phoenix's finest. But
I've gone from being overly intimate to in a better, like, medium happy space, or overly emotional.
But yeah, I think that's a big theme, and that's the magic of our friendship, and that's the fun of, like we keep saying, opening these conversations up that are intimate between us to a public forum, is that we do tether each other. And that was a big theme I think that we talked about in the relationships episode last week, was that when people come into your life, and and I think something we didn't get to talk about too much is that there are so many different types of relationships.
Right.
Like, our relationship, as people know, we are not physically intimate, but we're certainly emotionally, mentally, and spiritually intimate.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't want this to be, and that's part of why also we chose to move this into an at-home studio, is that we don't want this to be overly produced. So I am thankful to you for letting us do one more quick off-the-cuff episode. Not that we won't ever do this again, but I appreciate, even if it seems a little extra chaotic, you guys, it is offering me at least a little closure on everything that we released emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and for you guys on the podcast last week. Whether or not it makes sense to you guys. Because at the end of the day, it's not about
sure
them.
Right now, we won't know until we watch it back. But
yeah, and that's a big thing, right? We do this, and then we send it to the editor, and we listen to it when we release it.
I mean, last episode I felt really good about. I know you were super vulnerable, and you had a little bit of anxiety afterwards, but I think that was good for you. And then you were, like, able to maybe have a conversation that you wouldn't have had to, like, get it out there and release it.
I mean, regardless, it was certainly a bonding experience. And I think that I think that whoever does listen to it is going to feel the raw vulnerability that was.
And I mean, and I got to tell my story last time, stories that some people have never heard, and
yeah, I think that actually
it was
something
good
that
for me.
Something that Tayshawn behind the camera said was that it was probably the first time, and it was a really good opportunity for our careers even, that it changed the dynamic of who I am as a performer and who I am as a person, and showing the range between all of that, right? Particularly because I'm a believer, and I say this all the time, that two ends of a spectrum are the same point of a circle, right? From your darkest truths can come your brightest strengths. And that is my goal in life, is to be able to take all of my pain, or to take people I interact with's pain, and help myself and each other find the beauty, the light, the strength. Lady Gaga says, if you don't have a shadow, you're not standing in the light.
Yeah, and you also learn from your pain and learn how to not do it to somebody else. It's a
absolutely,
experience.
And I mean, even to bring it back to talking to the boy that I'm maybe still talking to, kind of, even our communication is stronger because I afterwards was able to go, be vulnerable, address things, and now, like, I was able to let that go.
I feel that moment. Well,
wait, before we go, I know we talked about how hot we are.
Oh my god.
But I just want people to, yep. If you're not watching visually, that's your own fucking... Actually, we're probably going to give you guys this one for free.
Okay, the asterisk, I was squeezing my titties together, because this is one of many new additions to... We call it our drag, because at this point it's like, we just buy tons of shit, and it's all fair game.
Oh, 100%. I can't wait. I'm going to have to wear those Hoochie Mama knockers sometime, too.
And I got a set that's a little tiny bit bigger than this.
I don't even actually know if it's noticeable.
It's a little bit bigger than this, so that it kind of fits my body a little more, so this one can...
Sweetie, it makes you look like you got such a waistline.
Waist, baby. But yes, I think this is a good follow-up episode, so that everyone knows where we stand, and that the last one was very just raw emotion, and this is the after and a little bit more process.
Yeah, and before you say our closing tagline,
well,
I just want to say, to clarify, that my 10-year challenge has gone from really not wanting to be alive to being so happy and proud and grateful to be alive and share my life with all of you.
And I'm going to say 10 years ago, I was...
a raging lesbian.
No, well, that's absolutely accurate. That's very accurate. But I was in a place where I was ready to open up to a relationship, and that happened, and now I'm 10 years later, and I feel like I'm back there again. So, like, it could be something in my future again. Well, here we are. And on that note, I'm Whitney Stevens.
And I'm Yo-Yo Blackfire.
And this is Unstable.